Hello, everybody. My name is Enrique, and this is.
Linda.
And today we're going to be talking about a little bit of a controversial subject and a little bit of a more serious subject about the increase of active shooters or active shootings in the U.S. But first, honey,
Let's
let's do
do
a
a
podcast.
podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Honey, Let's Do a Podcast. I'm your host, Enrique, and we have my lovely co host.
Linda.
And today we're going to be talking to you about a little bit of a controversial subject. We were debating whether to talk about this or not because we know it can ruffle some feathers. But we decided basically, you know, when we were all watching the Super Bowl last, I don't know, it's a couple weeks ago now. And, we were in a friend's house, we were watching. And then after that, in a couple days, or I think it was the next day or in 2 days, we found out about the whole thing with the parade and what happened there. There were some shootings there. I think nobody got killed, but there were a couple injuries, and I think, oh yeah, there was one fatality. Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody got killed. I think a woman, and then another bunch of people were wounded. Um, and then we just we were talking again. I'm like, man, another one. Like it seems like it just happens every other day, and every time there's some type of like I don't know, like a activity where you're outside and where people meet each other, and then there's like you have big groups of people. You always now have that fear that some of this can happen, and then it's unfortunate because people were trying to celebrate a win for sports, which should be uniting people, and then this thing happened, and obviously it's just one bad apple or two bad apples. We're not saying everybody's like that, but just one or two can just ruin everything for everybody at that
hmm
particular time. And then you can traumatize kids, traumatize people. Now I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't want to probably maybe go to another public event like that anymore, or kids, or like, you're a kid and you go through that. Maybe, you don't know, maybe that kid's now is going to maybe need some counseling or some physical therapy or something, or I mean, talking mental therapy or something, because it's something that can shock you if you have to go through it. So it's just unfortunate that it has to happen, and it's just the same thing that we had to say every year, that it just keeps happening. And people are trying to find solutions, but it just there doesn't seem to be any type of
Real solution.
solution in place, at least
Effective.
that it's effective, or that you can visually see, or you can imagine or something. I don't know, it just blows my mind. And then we were like, well, why don't we, because me and Linda have talked about this subject before, and then
We have to go through training in our job as well
yeah,
because of this situation have increased.
yeah, my job just had a
Mm-hmm.
training. They brought a sheriff here in Houston, and then they did about active shooting, and obviously that involves mass shootings and all that stuff. But we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this subject, how it affects us, and how it affects, I think, most people, and some of the controversies around it, which obviously you can imagine. It'll involve probably guns, uh, and whether we support it or not, we'll let you know in a minute. But that's the part that's a little bit controversy, because I know some people are really proud and really passionate about that subject. So we'll get into it. But first, I don't know, Linda, you have something you want to say first, or I mean, I'm going to drive right into it.
I think we can drive into it. To be honest, there is a lot to talk about. This is a very difficult topic. And at the end of the day, what we really want with this podcast is to create awareness on everyone out there, and the people that carry gun and the people that don't carry gun, and to try to be better person, better people as a whole, and not just think, oh, I'm just carrying a gun because of safety, but also, what if you get mad? What if whatever? The reason is to do this type of situations or create this type of unfortunate situation where other people get affected and other families get affected. And I really don't know what crossed through these people's mind, and I'm not sure if I want to go there, to be honest. but to try to have empathy also on the other person's situations if you are thinking on doing something like this, if something like this is crossing really your mind, and to create also awareness on what is the real situation today, and what has been the trend lately.
Yeah, and I think she's talking about she brought in the gun subject early because obviously to create an active shooter there needs to be guns for an active shooter, right? That's the whole point of active shooting. You need to have a gun. Uh, and obviously there's some situations where it happens where it's maybe a knife or anything, but those are not your typical things, and that's not really goes under the category of this of active shooter. But let's do a little recap of incidents that have been occurring, and there's been a big rise. If you go back to 2000 to compare to now, I mean the incidents have risen astrom- astronomically. You know, you can see the chart where at around 2000, everything's like the amount of mass shootings is like maybe two, three, one, and then it towards now the 2018 to 2022 and all this. There's it's just been 12 or 11 or 12 or almost every year, and some years I think the pandemic year or something, or there's a couple years in there where there was a dip after the pandemic, and then it just picked up again. It's kind of been steady lately, and the amount of like if the fatalities but during these times, specifically since 2018 to 2022, have maintained itself between haven't really passing 100, but that's still really high compared to what it used to be. But for example, 2021, 2022, we were at 100, 103. I think 2020, which was that big year of the pandemic, because that started in 2019. 2020 was when everybody was like,
Shut
nobody could
down.
go out and stuff. And that year we only had 38 casualties or, fatalities. So obviously you would expect a dip there. But once people started going out again, all this, it just got crazy. And if you go by wounded, this is the big alarming one because woundeds have gone up, and I think in 2021 there was like 103 fatalities and 140 were wounded. You go to 2022, now we got 100 fatalities, so maybe you could this is not a good sign anyway, right? I'm not saying this is good, but I'm just saying like that stayed the same, but the wounded got to 213. That's a really big increment. That's probably 40%, or I don't know. I don't haven't made the math, but I'm pretty sure that's a high percentage. So that's pretty alarming how it just keeps getting going up and up and up, and there doesn't seem to be like any type of slowdown of this. Look at this. We just started the year, we already had a parade for the Kansas City Chiefs, and there's already a shooting. Just one fatality, a bunch of wounded, but there was already a shooting there, and it's not supposed. That's a sports event. And I haven't seen that happen in a sports event in quite a while.
I believe the same day of the Super Bowl,
No, no,
there
no, no, no.
was one
Oh well, I
in
don't know about that
Houston.
one.
The one in the church.
The church one. But were there any? I
There
don't know if there
was
was a
there
fatality
was
there.
no fatalities, but there was
That was the guy,
a
the
shooting.
lady that went on
That's
the
yes, that's actually the only
that
case
went
of
on
a
the
woman.
church or something with the
Mm-hmm.
kid. Yeah, yeah. That was right. You're right. That was actually the day of the Super Bowl. That
Yes.
was here. And obviously, we know the one by Robert Elementary in Uvalde. That was here in Texas about the old student that used to go to that elementary and just went in there, and I think they shot 19, and a lot of them were elementary
I
children.
don't understand
And
why things
I
like this
mean,
happen.
these things I don't. It just when you hear these things, and now we have a little girl, right? We have a almost 2 year old daughter. You hear these things, and it's like now you sometimes you fear whether you have to send your kids to school, whether you have to send them. I mean, that those are things that really go through to people's minds now, and it shouldn't be, right? I don't think we should come to this. I don't know why. Like, listen, I come from Puerto Rico, and I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of criminality in Puerto Rico.
Not like
A
this.
lot of criminality. Well, it's probably more criminality. I think there's probably more criminality per capita over there than here. I'm pretty sure than in Texas in terms of criminal, like drug shit. I don't know, people who go to a nightclub and they're, somebody disagrees maybe, and then somebody shoots somebody, but it usually revolves around criminality, like
Yes.
drug usage, people who are in that world where they sell
People that are in the
drugs,
same world.
or
They are not,
stuff like that.
yeah,
And
they're
then
not civil people.
but there's always somebody who's caught in the crossfire. Maybe somebody dies that was around somebody, but
Yeah.
and then obviously there's your criminal stuff about maybe somebody cheated on somebody and they got mad and they shot the other guy, or some, there's arguments and then somebody shoots somebody. You know that's just your regular, because I don't think for me that's not regular, but I'm just saying those are regular things that can happen between humans
That's
when
how it
they
used to be back in the
the
days
criminality that
here.
I always see, right? But you don't see in Puerto Rico some dude showing up in a school and shooting 20 kids. I mean,
No.
you I've never I come from there, which is a high criminality place, in terms of, like, if you go check the paper every day in Puerto Rico, there's always going to be like, oh, this dude, this guy got killed. Oh, this other dude, there reported 5 fatalities over here, reported 6 fatalities over there, whatever. There's a bunch of fatalities, there's a bunch of killings, but you don't see mass shootings. Like, oh, we went to the concert and somebody just opened fire on the whole public. I mean, those type of
Randomly, out of
things
the
you don't
blue.
see. Maybe I'm pretty sure it's happened. I haven't, but I don't remember. I lived there 28 years, 27 years. I don't remember that that would have been a headline in the news. I don't
Yes, for
remember it
sure.
being anywhere, or my parents telling me about it. I just, when I was an adult, already there. I don't remember that. I never heard about it. And when my parents, when I was little, I mean, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have told me, but I would have found out somewhere in school. Somebody would have,
Yeah.
you would have seen it in the paper, when the news came up after school. My parents always put the news. It would have come up somewhere, right? And I don't remember any situation like that where there was just a big mass shooting, or a
Yeah, me
school
either.
shooting, or a concert shooting, or a movie theater shooting, or something like that. I don't remember that.
Yeah. I think the most common ones are drug related, uh, you know,
Money, this argument, stuff like
money,
that.
uh,
Somebody cheated on somebody.
somebody cheated. That's another
Those
one,
stuff. I
very
mean,
common.
but I believe those are. I'm not saying they're right, but
None of them are right, to
I
be
believe
honest.
those are more common, because just it's the human nature that we've been doing this shit since
Prehistory.
in the history. Yeah, like people just kill each other because they disargue in something. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's just human nature in a way. I don't think if you have a bad intentions, you have bad intentions. There's no way around it, right? You're gonna find a way to create those bad intentions, or that those thoughts
Yeah,
are
but
gonna
we
come
are
in.
not incentivizing any
No,
of
no, no,
this, to
no.
be honest.
I'm just trying to explain that if what I don't get is the whole
Mass shooting.
active shooter, like just randomly pulling up a gun somewhere and just start firing without any motive, any type of reasoning behind it, right?
Well,
Just
they might think they have a reasoning
well, but
behind
I'm
it.
just saying there's no, like, if somebody cheated on you, I'm not saying it's right again. I'm not saying it's right. But if somebody cheated, you're angry at that moment. So you have an anger against towards that person. You're not supposed to do anything to kill that person. But there you could say, okay, that's the motive this dude had, or that's the motive this lady had, or whatever. Whether it's right or wrong, but that's a motive. I'm just saying when somebody just opens up in Walmart with people they probably don't know about. They don't know anybody there. Like they're just going up there, vroom, start grab a
Just
gun.
because they have hate.
What I'm just saying, there's what's the motive? I'm just trying to see. That's just
Well,
either they're sick, mentally sick, which a lot of them
obviously.
probably are. I mean, probably all of them are mentally
Yeah,
sick.
all of them are.
But it just there's what's the purpose, right?
I
There's no
feel I
purpose.
feel like most of these situations, the biggest trigger is hate. Like, think about this. LGBTs, there's some church that is for black people, Latin places, like it's destined to specific type of people. Like maybe the person that
Yeah,
was
there's hate.
triggering, you
You
know,
could say that, right? But when it's random,
yeah, it's hard.
or when it's kids, like in
Yeah, why
elementary.
will you involve
No,
kids?
because if you're attacking a church, let's say you're Christian or you're ex religion and you're attacking a church that's not your religion, just because you have hate, well, there's a motive. There's a motive there. You have hate towards another religion. Well, that's a motive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times I don't find any motive behind it. A lot of times, like that one in Mandalay. You remember the one in Las Vegas where there's a concert? The dude went up to a hotel to like he got to the top of the whatever the hotel. He went to the window. There was a concert, and the guy had a sniper rifle, a rifle, and just toot toot toot, like they were like it was a video game, like just over there. Oh look, this guy's moving. Boop. This guy. Oh
That
boop.
might actually be
And
a
to start.
factor. This whole video game stuff could be a
Well,
thing.
I mean, let's not. I mean, I'm not. I don't want to get to that point. If you're a violent person and you're hearing violent thoughts, obviously, I think that can motivate. But at the end of the day, I never like to think video games, songs, none of that.
Are you sure that doesn't
No, I don't. I don't.
subconsciously
I
affect a
think I
person?
think it can motivate you if you already are that person.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, neither the song, nor the video game, nor any of that pulls the trigger. The person pulls the trigger. So the person is either sick or has a problem, and maybe they hear a song that's talking about killing, and maybe it just amplifies it to them. But that person already is feeling it because I can hear a song about some dude killing somebody, or I can hear a song about some dude punching somebody or whatever where there's violence, and that's not gonna make me go out and do anything because I'm not that person.
Yeah.
But so I don't believe the song or the music or whatever an artist creates or for whatever the reason. I don't think that's a reasoning. I don't think that's
I think it has.
I don't think it's a problem. I,
I, th-
I I just think that at the end of the day, the person is the one with the problem.
I have a feeling that the whole environment that that person is going through has a lot to do. Like, for example, if their parents are always fighting, I think that could be a big problem because that kid, what they will learn is not love, it's going to be hate and fight. And if their friends are always fighting, if their friends' family is always fighting, if he's constantly being part of that type of environment, guess what? That's what the kid is going to learn. And when the kid grows up, that's what he will do because that's what he knows. That's what he learned throughout his life.
And okay, I agree. See, there's stuff that I agree with you. For example, that I agree with. Some An environment can shape a person.
Hmm.
Uh, Let's say you live in what people call the ghetto or the hood, right? What people call that, right? If it's a rough environment you grew up in, you can you can kind of eventually move towards doing stuff like that because everything around you does stuff like that. Now, is that an excuse? No,
No.
because there's a lot of people who come up from those places who are really successful
Yes.
and who are really decent, great person.
Amazing people.
So you can live in a shitty environment. Parents hate each other. They fight all the time. Your mom leaves, is drunk all the time. They leave you there, whatever. The shittiest environment you can imagine. And I understand if that person grows up and has problems because obviously that's not a great place to grow
Environment.
up, an
Hmm.
environment to grow up in. So I would understand if that person has problems. But at the end of the day, it's still an excuse because I believe everybody the way the person can mold their own future. I don't believe even if it's the shittiest one, you have to at the end you can make that decision. You can choose. You can
Yes.
choose not to do this. You can choose to do something.
I completely
Whether
agree with
you
you.
need help, you might need more help. You might need good friends. You might need counseling. You might need somebody like a father figure, somebody who can mold you, even your shitty past. You can
Yeah.
that can take you through the right path. You might need that
I think in that case, you might need to
because
have to
obviously,
go
if
outside
you're having that
of
shitty
your environment.
situation, and then your friends who you're hanging out with are people who are in who are in a world that it's
Hmm.
doing bad shit. Obviously, you can end up doing stuff like them in the
Yes.
future.
Yes.
But again, at the end, that person made all their choices. That person chose to go with peace people. That person chose.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, it's still excuses, unless you really have a mental problem. Let's say you're born and you have a mental deficiency. you're not a 100% perfect normal person. There's something wrong with you, and it's factual, and it's the doctors and medically you're like there's something issue with you. If that's the case, that's the only time that there could be like you could say, okay, this person can really make his own choices perfectly. He can rationalize the same way. You see what I'm saying?
But then
That's
if there
why
is a
some situations where there's found out that there's how do you call it, mental health issues, like somebody has some mental disorder or something. That's why they don't end up going to jail. That's why they go into a mental institution, because there's an issue with that person. You know, if you're mentally sane, you'll go to jail if you do some shit like that. If you're not mentally sane, they'll have to send you to a mental institution. I'm not saying you're gonna be free. You kill 3 people because you're mentally ill. Oh, let him walking down the street. No, it's like a jail for men for the mind. You go to a mental institution, right? But they won't put you in jail because you're not. They realize you're not a sane person. You're not 100% capable. Now, do some people what I like I say use that to get out of something? Yes, they
yes,
also do.
all the time.
Some people might be sane and they use like they're mentally disabled or whatever by a doctor or something just so that
Cross that
they can
line.
slide. That can
Hmm.
also happen, and that happens a lot of times where you're deemed mentally unstable when you're really 100% stable, but you're deemed like that just because they want to either minimize your time that you would have to be in jail, or they want to something, they trying to get away from something, so they use that's also used. So I'm not saying it's 100% right, because a lot of times people use that to get out of stuff.
I think also another factor, and I might get in trouble by saying this. Um, I think when these people are emotionally affected to make this type of decisions and they truly don't have control over the right decision and to make the right decision, in my opinion, that's weakness. Because you don't have the power to control yourself into making those bad decisions. And also, it's a matter of choosing the wrong path. You know it's the wrong path, but you still do it. So for me, that is weakness, personally. I mean, other people might disagree with me, but for me, I think that's weakness. What do you think about it?
You could say it is a type of weakness.
Because you don't have control over your emotions. You lost it.
I mean,
That's why I think it's weakness.
anyway, let me talk to you about. So, for example, when these things, an active shooting happens, we've been discussing type of measures that you can use to kind of mitigate this stuff. Uh, and there's a couple that have been used, which is like, for example, the physical security measures, which has been coming in place, and that's your typical, like cameras, surveillance cameras. If you go to like public stuff, they put like those bars, like those gates, or those bars, whatever, so that people can go to some places and they have them like controlled. Uh, you know, well, like I said, putting more security personnel in places like guards or officers or whatever it is. Those are like your physical security measures that you can use. Uh, I frankly don't like this that they're because I know they're doing this shit in school now. I know it's necessary at the moment. I don't know if it's effective because that's still happening even with all this stuff in place. But I kind of think it's necessary. But I also don't like it because why do kids now? Kids got to go to school through metal detectors. I don't know. Like they might have some arm officers with like machine guns or whatever in the entrance now. So it looks like you're. I don't know. Like sometimes it might look like you're going to the jail like instead of school. The way they have it. That shit shouldn't be in school, right? They're talking about putting guns with teachers. I heard that shit in Texas, and I'm like, what the? I don't want to say the bad word, but I'm saying what the hell is that? What do you mean putting guns with teachers? Like, is that going to solve anything? I,
No,
that's dumb.
they will
Like,
get nervous. They
no, I'm
have
just
20
saying
kids
they don't
and they don't
got.
even know how to use the guns. The
Yeah, like
first
that's. I
reaction
don't
is like
care.
get nervous and they want to
Well,
protect the
they're
kids.
saying that they're going to give them training. I don't give a shit if they're saying they're going to give them training. That's not. That's not going to make any difference. Well, you're going to train for 2 weeks and all of a sudden you know how to act in that situation? No,
No.
that's a dumb whatever decision they're making. That's completely dumb about just giving somebody. They're there to teach. A teacher's there to teach kids how to become better people in the future, to learn, to educate themselves. It's not there to get a gun and check for safety with kids. No, that's not their job. That's a police officer's job. That's a military's job. Whatever. Somebody who trained for that, not a teacher. They're not there for that. So,
Somebody that is not going to be hesitate to shoot a person when that person is not doing the
but
right thing.
again, if I was a teacher, if I studied to teach people about a subject, about whatever it is, that is my passion. That is what I want to do with kids. I'm not there so you give me some ammunition and ammo and a weapon so I can protect them. For what? I don't. That's not what I was there for.
And
That's not
then
what the whole
you
thing
have
is.
the other fact. What if one kid, now you have guns in all of those teachers' classrooms. What if one day one of the kids get upset with something that happened in school and was they get a gun from the school and they start shooting other
Yeah,
kids or
hopefully.
teachers?
Well,
I mean,
okay,
we're
but
just
hopefully,
amplifying the
yeah, you're
situation.
going on a limb there. Hopefully, they have these things locked down and stored or whatever. But I'm just saying, obviously,
That's a
where it could
point.
happen, it could happen. But I'm just saying, let's not go on a limb and think this is. Hopefully, that doesn't happen, right? I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be smart enough to put these things somewhere where a kid cannot reach. But that's one of them. The other one was what we talked a little bit a while ago, which is your mental health supports. So right now, in this varies state by state. To buy any gun or any type of shooting like a weapon, you need to be clear by if you're involved in a mental institution or you're some states even if you're just voluntarily going to a psychologist or something psychiatric thing, they won't let you buy guns. The problem that we have is that this is a state by state basis. So a state might tell you no, but in another state they might let you. It's a tricky depending on how strict they are with these things. But anyway, it's proven obviously that mental like if just because you have a mental problem doesn't mean you're going to be violent or you're going to kill somebody. But there's been proven that if you have a mental instability, there could be a more likelihood if you're especially a violent person because of this that it could lead to this. So obviously a mental health support group getting you knowing this early, knowing getting to know this early and putting this person in some treatment and stuff could obviously that could also be a prevention, right? It's like the physical security. Well, this is another type of prevention that they can use now with the mental health support and so all that stuff. That's why it's so important that people nowadays acknowledge this and don't think whatever, I'm not that person, I'm not this, like support anybody who's willing to go into if they feel like pressure or something where they're breaking down, support that person, support your friend, help them get into the right help that they need, and because these things at the long run has proven to work. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I actually agree with you. That's definitely a way to minimize a little bit the problem. I wouldn't say we solve it because still a lot of people are out there that doesn't receive any kind of treatment or don't receive any kind of help. And again, it has to do with the whole
Well,
environment situation. If they might not even know that they have it, actually, they might not even think that they have a problem. And because they are, if everybody around it are a little bit the same, that's a little bit more difficult if when everybody's around the
yeah,
same.
and I think nowadays people need to also help each other. And what I mean by this is that if you think, and I'm not saying don't judge people just by one thing they do, but if you see there's a pattern in a person that that it's consistently giving you vibes that this person might be violent, and he puts up people stuff in his social media that's violent, and he talks about this thing all the time, and he's saying how much hate he has for a certain type of group, and then he posts it up again, and then he talks about it again, and then all he does is this, then that's giving you a little bit of a sign here that maybe you shouldn't just sit around and let these people keep on talking, and maybe in the future you never know when it could snap and something can happen. So maybe us need to be more aware of these things and help each other out. I actually told one of my one of my bosses, because I had a kid in camp, in one of my camps, who this kid only taught the only thing he talked about was guns, and the kid was always talking about shooting a certain type of people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's a kid, and I was with the counselors, and we were like, the first time we heard it, we're like joking around, like, this kid, we scared of you, brother. We need to be on your good side in the future? Like kind of messing with him. But then he kept on doing it every day that week, and we're like, oh. So then I ended up telling my boss about it, and like, hey, this kid is doing this and this and this, and then I don't know I'm pretty sure he contacted whatever who it was he needed to contact to at least check or let him know. But I started seeing a pattern with this kid, and I'm like, well, let me, this is not kind of normal behavior. Let me just at least let somebody else know who can maybe talk to somebody, maybe their parents or whoever it is that they got to talk to, because this is a little iffy. Right? What he's saying this every day. So what I'm saying is that I think we have to also be aware, and if it's something fishy that it's continuously happening, that's giving you signs. And a lot of times these signs end up becoming something, because all these shooters, some of the times when they go through their history of all these people that have done the shooting and maybe they kill them, because a lot of them end up suiciding, end up killing themselves right after this happens. But when they go start digging into their history,
Their
oh,
profiles, their
this guy used to
Instagram, their
do this. Oh,
Facebook.
yeah. And you remember this kid when I was little, like ex friends of them. Oh, yeah. He used to be a violent kid. Oh, yeah. So all these things start coming out. Like, okay. So there was a pattern that maybe if they would have, known about this, you could have maybe prevented something like this from happening. Right. So that's why I think us need to be more aware of these things. And if somebody exhibits these types of behaviors, we at least need to make somebody aware of this, right? Maybe somebody who could maybe do something about it, or at least check on this, right? Check on this person or check something. I'm not saying all of a sudden he's a bad person. I'm just saying check on him, because maybe that's a person that if you send him to a good mental health support or something,
Hmm.
maybe you can. That's somebody that you could have
Guide in a
guide and
better,
avoid it something else worse happening, right?
yes, yes. Guide into a
So
better path.
I think us as human beings and as persons and as co-livers in this world need to be more aware of. Now the last one, or that this is the most controversial one, is obviously the gun control policies. Uh, this is the most controversial one because you got your bunch of pro guns and you got your bunch of people that are against guns.
And there is people that they just want safety.
Yeah,
But
and here's my take. I'm gonna first tell you my take. I'm not against. I'm sorry. I'm not pro gun. I myself, I'm against guns. However, I'm not one of these guys that are going to go out there and say, take everybody's guns away. No.
we understand the
We
right.
understand the right that you can bear arms. Now, I believe that it's too easy to do it at the moment.
Yes.
And I think that can create a problem.
I
I
can
believe
literally
that's,
go right now and buy a gun.
well,
Just like
anybody
that.
can do it. I'm just saying, obviously, there's some type of things that, for example, there's states that have more strict laws than others. We live in Texas, so ours is a lot more
Easy.
guns, not as gun strict, right? It's a more liberal, and that's you can easy to buy a gun, right, in our state. But they always do a screening. I think that every place does a criminal record. If you have obviously if you're a criminal record, they're not gonna let you buy a gun, right? But right now anybody can go. I can go to Walmart. I can go to Academy Sports. I can go to any of these places and buy guns pretty easily.
Easily.
Uh,
In fact,
Once my thing goes through that I'm not a criminal, whatever, the background check, easy. Buy 15 if I want to and take them home.
I'm going to stop you because I'm just going to give you a little story. When we moved here, actually, we were in shock
That first time we went to Academy.
when
Yeah.
we went to academy and there were guns and it was
Yeah.
just like buying
Looked
absolutely anything.
Looked like I was in a military compound. And I was like, okay, I can pick wherever I want.
Yes.
And then the ammunition, they got all these rows of
the
ammunition.
whole thing, everything
Because remember,
was
you
there.
got to remember, when we come from, you can't do that.
That's not normal.
I mean,
in
there's
Puerto
gun
Rico.
stores where you can go, but it's not like you see it in your local grocery store. You just go and see them all over in there
Display.
in display, right? You don't. You got to go to a specific store for this stuff
Yeah.
to buy them. So for us, that was a shock, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I just don't think it's necessary in that way. Now, I know you're gonna disagree with me. It's fine. Again, I'm not saying I'm not pro completely against them, right? I'm not saying everybody should have their stuff removed and this thing's the worst thing ever. No, because I do know about safety.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a person can choose to have their firearm or not. That's completely fine. I believe that there should be allowed to buy one, but following certain protocols. I just don't think it should be as easy as it is. Now, I don't know what the government needs to do. I don't know what these rules needs to be. I don't know how strict they got to be. Maybe they, but I'm just saying it shouldn't be as easy as it is at the moment. I think everybody in their house should, if they want to have a gun to protect themselves, if somebody wants to enter your house or somebody, you should. If you want to, you should. Now, if you're against it, you don't want to buy a gun, don't buy a gun. Then you don't have a gun in your house. Maybe you defend yourself with a bat or a knife or whatever it is, right? But I believe everybody should have that right. Now, the other thing I'm against, okay, if you want to have a handgun, a revolver, whatever it is, fine. I don't understand the reasoning of having M4s and military grade weapons. That's the other stuff that I'm like, what this makes no sense. Are we going to war? Is people going to war? What do we need weapons that are meant for military? What's the purpose? There's are people here? Are we in a civil war in the state that we need to be protecting ourselves with these type of weapons? No. So why do I need to have it? Because obviously, if I'm gonna do an active shooter, and I come with a revolver, it's fatal, the same as the military grade weapon, but the revolver maybe has 7 or 8 rounds, and the other one has 40 or 60. So it's a lot. It shoots a lot faster. So by the time I go, I can kill way more than if I have the other one, right? So these are type of things that I also do not understand why it's like that. Why that is allowed. Why? I mean, just why in general. Like there's a reason in their military grade weapons. There's a reasoning because they're military. So that's another one. So now obviously there's your hunting stuff. Listen, hunting rifles, stuff like that. Yeah, if you're going to hunting, great. Have your hunting rifle, okay, fine. Maybe they should have a license for hunting. Maybe they can have different type of you're a hunter. You go on hunting season, great. Here's your weapon. That's fine. There's rifles and I don't know what stuff that they use for hunting, but it's not an M4, right? Or it's not a machine gun or whatever it is, right? You don't need all that stuff. I know sometimes you can go to these gun shows and you can even buy grenades and shit. And I'm like, wait, hey, like, what do you need all this shit? Like, I don't understand. And then
how are you going to protect yourself in your house with a grenade?
And I've been to people's houses who have, they click a button and this thing opens up and they got enough weapons there for like in the movie of Rambo. You see more weapons in this guy's house than in Rambo. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I know this dude. He's a good dude. He's a nice dude. Hasn't shown anything. The guy's is top tier class person. But what if this dude wasn't my friend or wasn't somebody I know that's a great person, and what's some dudes that's a little iffy and he has all this stuff in his house, and all of a sudden he gets up one day and he gets on the wrong side of the bed, and he shows up and he's pissed up with the world, whatever. He's like mad or whatever and everything, and he just has enough stuff in his house to blow up half a the whole block in his neighborhood if he wants to. So that those are the stuff that I'm saying. Maybe limited the amount of weapons somebody can buy. I don't know. There needs to be some type of restrictions that I think would help. Now I know what people are going to counter me with. Oh, bad guys are going to buy the guns anyway. This and that. I'm like, of course. We all know it. In Puerto Rico, all the bad guys have guns. Here, all the bad guys will have guns. In the other state, all the bad guys will have guns. Now, are we all of a sudden we're John Wick? All civilians are John Wicks. Where you see bad guys going over with like you say, bad guys have a gun, right? And we have guns, right? Because we can buy guns. So we're John Wicks. The dude comes out in Walmart or whoever. I'm just giving an example. I keep using Walmart, but whatever. I'm just saying it could be anywhere. But the dude goes up in a store and starts shooting, and you have a gun. And first of all, you got to have a gun. But let's say you have a gun yourself, and all of a sudden, you're not gonna shit yourself. You're not gonna have any fear. You're not gonna start running around like crazy. You're not gonna forget that you even have a gun in the first place. You're not gonna try to dodge bullets. You're not gonna try to. You're all of a sudden gonna have the still mind and the finesse, and you're gonna be like a stone blood killer. And you're just gonna come out there, bring your gun out, start doing 360 moves around, dodge bullets around, and start shooting people. No,
And then shoot the right person as well.
You're not trained for that. Don't give me that shit. Unless you were an ex-military or you were an ex-somebody, special forces or whatever, you're not gonna be that. I don't. When people tell me this stuff, I start laughing. I'm like, are you serious? You really think if two people come up shooting, you're just gonna act cool, and you're not gonna get stressed? Nothing's gonna go through your mind. You're just gonna be stone cold, relax. No. Everybody, I don't give a shit who you are. Everybody, when you're in danger, your instinct of survival is gonna kick in, and you're gonna try to run, duck, whatever it is. But you're not gonna all of a sudden stand your ground, come up and let him shoot you 3 times just so you can shoot the dude. No, that's not gonna come through your mind unless you were trained for that with years of training or experience. So I don't give a shit what people say. That's not true. Okay? If it happens 1 or 2 times, oh, great, it happened. That's not the majority of the time. It's not gonna happen. So I don't believe what they say. Bad guys will have guns. Yes. Bad guys were always going to find a way to buy guns. Now,
but they will kill each other.
The problem is when the dude who goes to Robb Elementary in Uvalde, who's a 19-year-old kid who has guns in his house, no prior criminal records or whatever, dude's not a criminal, but he has guns. He shows up in the school, kills a bunch of kids and some teachers and shit. That's the problem. That's the one you could have avoided. You can't avoid the dude who's the criminal, who's whatever, in X place, who has a beef with some other dude and comes up with this gang and then shoot him up. No, you can't avoid that dude. That dude's going to do it regardless. You can avoid the dude who does this type of stuff. The guy who goes to Mandalay Bay, who's got guns, who goes up there, parks up in whatever floor it is, and starts shooting down the window to people in a concert. You can avoid that dude if it's not easy to get guns by him, because obviously he's not a criminal. He became a criminal, but he wasn't a criminal prior to that. Those are the dudes you can avoid. The other dudes, there's no way you can avoid. In Puerto Rico, there's killings all over the time. There's criminals all over the time. But
civilians in Puerto Rico,
if I
it's
was
not
a civilian
normal.
who had guns and became mentally unstable and went to some school or some movie theater and started shooting, and I wasn't a criminal, so I didn't know how to get guns. And if it wasn't easy, I wouldn't have been able to grab a gun and maybe do what I did. You see what I'm saying? That's what we can avoid. So that's why I do believe in control policies. I don't believe in eradicating guns. I don't believe that. I think everybody should still have the right to bear guns.
So in
Yes.
Puerto Rico, you can have guns.
But
It is
yes,
stricter than
but
here,
there
a lot
should be a
stricter.
little more difficulty getting them, and there should be limitations on the amount of guns and the type of guns you can buy. That's what I believe. And again, this is my opinion. I respect you guys' opinions. If you're pro guns and whatever, and the way it is set up right now, that's the right way for you. I respect it. I'm not going to come here and disagree with you in that. I'm not going to start a fight with you or whatever. I don't, that's not the point. The point is to try to build some awareness on this. Maybe have you think, like we're talking to each other. Let's think. I'm gonna tell you my opinion. You tell me your opinion. Let's see how we can come to an agreement. Come
Yes.
to a place where both of us can unite.
And I think the other point of this podcast is, besides create awareness, to show you what are the stats, what is the information that is out there, and that this skill keeps increasing. So it's actually getting worse.
Yes.
So we need to do something about this. We need to try to find ways to solve this problem, because right now it's not just a little problem, it's becoming a big problem. And when you come from other places thinking that you are safe and suddenly you are not safe, then what is the purpose? This is America.
Yeah.
That's the whole dream. It's not just to buy a house, it's to be safe.
Yeah. Safety's first. I feel safety, health, then wealth.
Yes.
So I just we wanted to talk about, like I said, we don't want to talk more about this. I know this is not a great subject. It's not kind of depressing, but we
It
just
has to be talked.
we taught we saw and we heard about what happened, and like I said, it all came out from the active shooter incident in the parade of the Kansas City Chiefs after they won the Super Bowl, and we kind of had enough, and we just like we have to at least talk about it, at least maybe also as a therapy for both of us, even if a lot of people don't listen to us, but maybe they'll listen to us in the future. Who knows? But
Hopefully.
we needed to at least talk about it as a therapy, kind of.
Yeah.
But I think I've had enough about talking about this subject. I think I don't. It puts you in a kind of depressing mood.
It's a bad state.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
don't.
low
We
state.
usually like to talk about more uplifting
Yeah.
stuff, but there's sometimes that during life, there's your ups and your downs, and this was a little bit of a down. But I feel like we wanted to give our opinion, and maybe we sparked some ideas out there for other people, and people who maybe are not completely supportive of our ideas, but maybe you listen to us and
It
it
resonates.
it ignites something different. Maybe you can think about a different way you didn't thought about before, and maybe it helps us heal each other as humans, and maybe unite and be better persons in the future, and grow from this, right? And then maybe lay this foundation for our kids or future generations, so that they learn how to be a little more, live more in harmony and be more helpful. Because I think nowadays the world is, people are too like, there's too much hate and too much shit
Much
going on.
hate.
And I think, at the end of the day, we're all from the same. We're all the same. We're all humans. Doesn't matter what your religion, where you come from,
Or the color of your skin.
anything. We're the same at the end of the day. We all have 2 feet. We all have 2 hands,
Heart,
5 fingers, one heart, one brain.
lungs,
It's
kidneys.
the same. I mean, it doesn't really matter. So I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to talk about this, give you my opinion, give our opinions about the subject, and hopefully you guys, it makes you think. It makes you analyze the situation, and then maybe let it known to the right personnel and right people in the government, whoever, who can make some type of change around this. Because the more people unite, the more people are give their opinion about subjects, the more maybe we can make some change happen. We stay quiet, there's never going to be any change. Okay. So I think that covers up for today. I don't know how long this went, but it doesn't matter. I think it was needed. We don't know. I think next week's gonna be another surprise one. I don't think we've talked about our next one that we wanna say, but stay tuned for that. And remember, you can follow us on wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. We're in other places too, but you gotta, wherever you listen to. I'm pretty sure we're in one of those. And then we also are in YouTube. Honey, let's do a podcast. We got our Instagram. We got our email. Um,
Actually, if you're a visual person, I think YouTube will be the best choice because we will be showing some
yeah,
graph.
we'll put some graphs up and stuff when we're
Yeah,
things we're
and that
talking.
that does help for those visual learners.
Yeah, but if not, if you just want to listen to audio, we're in your wherever you get your audio podcast too.
Yes.
But again, my name's Enrique. This is Linda. We thank you so much for listening to us today. Hopefully, you didn't get that down on it. I know it's a little down subject, but hopefully it didn't put you down too much. Hopefully, it made you think. Hopefully, you open your mind to different ideas, and hopefully, we can, like I said, we can all grow from this and become better persons. Anyway, thanks for listening to us. Thanks for watching us if you're on YouTube.
Yes.
We'll see you the next Wednesday, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day, rest of your night, depending on the time of the day you are. And see you guys. Stay safe.
Bye.